For this project, you will need SuperDuos, size 2.5 by 5 millimeter in emerald, size 8 seed beads, these are Miyuki's in emerald, size 11 seed beads, these are delica, Silverline in emerald, size 15 seed beads, these are in emerald AB finish, also delicas. You will need 3 6 millimeter bicone crystals in emerald, 3 4 millimeter bicone crystals in emerald, size 12 beading needle, Fireline and 6-pound test, 0.15 millimeters in diameter, a pair of scissors, and a bead weaving mat. Get your supplies together and we'll get started. To begin, string on about 36 inches. It doesn't need to be that long. I just like to err on the side of caution onto your needle. Then pick up a 6 millimeter bicone crystal and an 11 seed bead. Pass these down to the end of the thread and leave yourself a bit of a tail, just long enough to hold on to, and maybe restring it onto your needle later when we're done. Now pass your thread through the bicone, skipping the 11 seed bead. You'll have a little bit of thread showing there at the 11 seed bead, but that's okay. Now string on an 11 seed bead again. And yes, I did poke myself with the needle. Then you're going to string on 11 SuperDuos. We are forming the center lobe of our shamrock at this point. And just double check that you have 11. And now you're going to string on a sequence of 8 seed beads and SuperDuos. So first pick up an 8 seed bead and then a SuperDuo. Sorry, I'm a little off camera. I'm double checking my count because I thought I was off there. So pick up an 8 then a SuperDuo, and repeat that for a total of 9. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So you'll end with a SuperDuo. This is the first half of that center lobe of our shamrock. This will be the outside of that. Now pick up 2 11 seed beads, and you're going to restring exactly what you strung before, but in the opposite way. So you'll start with your sequence of 9 SuperDuos and 8 and then do your 11 SuperDuos at the end. So pick up a SuperDuo, an 8 1, 2, 3, don't get too many, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, and again, don't get too many, and 9. Double check your count. Make sure you do indeed have 9. And I do. And mine got stuck, so I'm gonna double check here. Or perhaps I should say triple check, since that's what I was doing. And now I'm going to pick up 11 SuperDuos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. This pattern is based pretty much off of the Potomac Bead Company's heart pattern, but I made quite a few changes so it would work for a shamrock. Now you're going to pick up one 11/0 seed bead. And you'll notice I used 11 SuperDuos there where they didn't do that. The link for that video will be down below. Now pass your needle back through the bicone that you started with and through the very bottom 11/0 seed bead. Then skip the 11/0 and go back up through that bicone. And that's a 4mm that we started with. Let me zoom you in so you can see exactly what I'm doing. It's a little hard to see if it's too far. Sorry. So here I am, I'm passing back up through that 4mm, and I started to go through the 11/0 seed bead and the first SuperDuo, and then I realized that that was kind of stupid because I was losing my tension, so I took those back out, so I backed out of those two beads and tied a knot using my tail thread there. This will help keep my tension, so we'll get that nice heart-shaped lobe to our shamrock that we're looking for. So here I am just tying that knot. It's a nice square knot. You don't need too many knots in this for it to hold. We'll be using that tail to tie more knots after all we're done anyway. So here I am. I'm going to go ahead and go back through the last 11/0 I added and the last SuperDuo I added through the holes I already used. And here I am, I'm kind of fighting with that tail a little bit, but we will need it, so don't be tempted to get rid of it yet. Now pass your needle, and here I am, I screwed up right here. I wasn't thinking too clearly. I went through the wrong bead. So let me take that out really quick. Alright, now pass your thread is coming through the bottom hole, so we need to go up through the top hole. You'll see a tiny bit of thread, but when you're done you won't even notice it. So go through that hole of the last SuperDuo you added and go through the unused hole of the first SuperDuo you added. And this is going to form the nice pointy bit at the bottom of your heart shape. Now, you're going to skip the next SuperDuo you added. You're going to pick up an 11/0 seed bead and go through the next SuperDuo, the hole that you did not use. So skip that one and go through this one. And pull your threads nice and tight here. You're going to repeat that again, so pick up an 11/0 and pass through skipping one SuperDuo and going through the next SuperDuo, through the hole that wasn't used in the first place. So you're just filling those little tiny gaps with 11/0. Pick up another 11/0 and go through skip one SuperDuo and go through the next SuperDuo. Again, the hole we didn't use before. Pick up another 11/0 and go through the second SuperDuo, skipping one and going through the next. And I hope that's making sense. Pick up one more 11/0, skip the next SuperDuo, and go through the next one beyond that. We'll come back to the skipped SuperDuos later, but for now this is what you have, and that actually will form the straight part at towards the bottom of the lobe. That's the center lobe of our shamrock. So now we have the spot where we had used 8/0 seed bead, so we need to start forming the curve. To do that, you pick up a 15/0 seed bead and go through the next SuperDuo, and what that'll do is form the curve. Pick up a 15/0 and go through the next SuperDuo. And I just turn the work around to make it a little easier for me. And you'll notice I'm not really pulling on the thread yet. I will when I get to the center. Pull it pretty snug when I get to the center. So pick up another 15/0 and go through the SuperDuo. Pick up another 11/0 seed bead and go through the next SuperDuo. And you'll just keep doing that until you get to the point where you have the two 11/0s. Alright, it's at this point you're going to be adding the 6mm bicone crystal. This is going to form the inside point of the heart shape. You're going to want to make sure that you pull the thread pretty tightly right here, but be careful, the bicone is pretty sharp on the inside and it can break your thread. Now we're going to go back to adding 15 knots wherever we had it added 8 knots before. So pick up a 15-0 and go through the next SuperDuo and repeat that until you reach the spot where we have the 11 SuperDuos in a row. Alright, we've got to the point where we're finished adding the tiny 15 O's. Now we're going to go back to adding the 11 O's anywhere we had SuperDuo. So you're going to pick up an 11 knot and skip the next SuperDuo and go through the third SuperDuo in that set of 11. And just make sure your tension's pretty good here. We can pull on it a little bit more when we reach the last SuperDuo. So pick up your 11 knot, go through the third SuperDuo at this point in the row of 11. Pick up an 11 knot, skip one SuperDuo, and go through the next SuperDuo, and keep doing that until the end. Alright, I've added a total of 11 knots to at this point, and I've gone through right now through my last SuperDuo. So what I want to do is go ahead and reinforce the entire inner heart of this lobe. We'll be reinforcing the outer part later. I am back to where I started. I'm going to pass through the top hole of that SuperDuo, then go the other way and pass through the SuperDuo and the 11 knot to where my tail is, and I will tie a square knot with my tail. Then I'm going to work both tails into the project and then snip the threads. And here's the center lobe of our shamrock completed. We're going to add the lobe on either side of the center of our shamrock. To do that, we're going to start by picking up a 4mm bicone crystal and an 11/0 and bring those down to the tail of your thread there. Leave yourself a couple inches like we did before so you can tie knots, and then bury the tail when we're finished. So skip the 11/0 and go back up through the crystal. Alright, so we're going to pick up an 11/0 and drop that down. And now we're going to pick up a series of SuperDuos and 11/0 instead of doing 11 SuperDuos. So we're going to do 5. So 1 SuperDuo, 1 11/0, and repeat that 5 times. And here are the 5. And just double check your count and drop those down. Now we're going to pick up 9 SuperDuos with 8 dots in between. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 6, 7, 8, and 9. And again, double check your count. At this point, you should have 15, so you're going to pick up one more SuperDuo. Double check that, make sure you have 15 SuperDuos added to this section. And I actually lost my SuperDuo at this point, so I had to pick up another one. Pick up 2 11/0. This forms the center point at the top of the heart shape. And drop those down. And now we're going to pick up the 9 SuperDuos with the 8/0 in between like we did before. So pick up a SuperDuo, maybe, and an 8/0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then pick up one more. So you have 10 SuperDuos and 9 8/0. Now bring your center lobe back up because we need to add that in. At this point I'm just double checking, make sure I have what I need. I actually had to restart this center or this side lobe a couple of times because I got my counts wrong. So here's the correct way. So I zoomed you in a little bit so you can see this last SuperDuo on the side lobe matches up with the last SuperDuo on the center lobe. So you have a free SuperDuo hanging on your center lobe. Go ahead and pass through the open hole on that. And this is where we start to bring the two together. Now pick up a SuperDuo and go through the next SuperDuo and repeat that for a total of 4. Alright, to make both sides of this lobe match up, you're going to actually have to add one more SuperDuo so it coincides with the SuperDuos on the other end. So go ahead and pick up the SuperDuo and the final 11-aught, which will match up to the other side. Then you're going to take your needle and pass down through the bicone crystal and the 11-aught at the end, like so. Be careful not to get your threads tangled up here. Now pass your needle back up through the bicone crystal, and using your tail thread, go ahead and tie a square knot. Now take your thread and pass through the outside, which is not the part we meshed, and pass through the 11-aught and the last SuperDuo we added, or the first SuperDuo we added, sorry, of this particular lobe. You're going to go through the bottom hole, then turn around and go the opposite way through the top hole. Then you're going to go through the free hole of the SuperDuo that's hanging out right there. Don't skip it. Now pick up an 11-aught and go through the next SuperDuo. So we're going to repeat that for 5 times. So here's 1, 11-aught, through the free hole of the SuperDuo, 2, be careful, this is where your threads will start getting tangled up on you. 5. So now we're going to pick up 15 O's so we can start to form that nice curve. And you'll pick up 9 of those until we reach this spot where we have 2 11-aughts together. My 15 O's and to the center point. So pick up your 6mm bicone crystal and pass through the next SuperDuo. Then you're going to go back to adding 15 O's anywhere we had 8 O's in the first place. Here I've added my last of the 15 O's and passed through the next SuperDuo. So now we're going to add 11 O's wherever we had 11 in the first place. So pick up an 11 and go through the next SuperDuo and repeat that for 5 times. Here's my 5th 11-aught. I'm going to pass through the last of the SuperDuos on this side. And now I'm going to go ahead and pass through the first SuperDuo on the other side and reinforce all the way around the inside of this heart and tighten up my threads inside of the work and trim the tails. So what you want to do now is repeat for the other side. And now that you've got both sides done, we're going to concentrate on working on this stem. So take your thread from your third side or your third lobe, and you're coming out of an 11-aught, so pass down through the 4mm bicone crystal. This might be a little difficult because that 11-aught is in the way, and I've actually made it so that it's sitting the correct orientation. And what we're going to do is pass our thread around those 3 11-aughts at the base of each lobe. So pass up through the first one, then go through the one in the middle, like so, and through the third one. And then I'm actually going to pass through all of those again to reinforce that just a little bit. After reinforcing, I'm going to pass my thread down through the last of those 11-aughts. If I can find it. It's a little hard to see when I'm trying to look for it through the viewfinder of my camera. So I'm going to turn it and get a better angle on my work here. Go ahead and pull the threads nice and tight. Be careful not to catch them on anything. Here we go. It's starting to get a knot there. And I definitely don't want a knot there. Ooh, zoomed in too close. Sorry about that. Alright, so this is what you have in the center. It's kind of hard to see. Try to show you a little bit better there, but it didn't work out. So now we're going to form the stem. To do that, I'm going to pick up a series of SuperDuos and seed beads. So pick up a SuperDuo and drop it down. And then pick up an 11-aught. And drop it down. And repeat that. Pick up a SuperDuo and an 11-aught. A SuperDuo. And here I'm just kind of double checking to see how long I want to go before I start the little curve of this. So pick up an 11-aught, so now we have 3 of each. And a SuperDuo. And another 11-aught. I'm sorry, you can't see what I'm doing there. And drop those down, so now we have a total of 4 SuperDuos and 3 11-aughts. So now I want to start the curve. To do that, you'll pick up a 15-aught and a SuperDuo and then another 11 aught, and then another SuperDuo. So you have two 15 aughts. I'm sorry, two 15 aughts at this point. So you have a total of 3 11 aughts and 2 15 aughts. Sorry, that got a little confusing there. Now you're going to pick up an 11 aught and a SuperDuo. Oh, I was showing the wrong thing there. I had picked up 8 aughts and I didn't want to do that. So pick up your 11 aughts and a SuperDuo, 11 aughts. And a SuperDuo, and again 11 aught and a SuperDuo, and one more time. So you have a total of 9 seed beads and 10 SuperDuos. And bring those down. This is what you have so far. So now we're going to actually go back up through these beads and fill in the spaces that we've left. And it's going to give you that nice little curve right there because we have the 15 O's in the middle of that. So now take your thread and pass through the open hole of this last SuperDuo. Make sure everything's nice and tight here. And anywhere you had an 11 aught, we're going to pick up a 11 aught again. And anywhere you had a 15 aught, you're going to pick up an 8 aught, and that's going to give you a nice curve. Alright, here I'm adding the last of my 11 aughts for my stem. Go through the last SuperDuo, and I'm going to go through that little triangle of 11 aught seed beads once more. Then I'm going to go ahead and reinforce everything we just added. At this point, go ahead and reinforce the entire outside of your shamrock so that it won't be flimsy, and bury your threads. And here's the finished project. Thanks so much for watching.